Welcome on into WFRV Plus Sports Night. Another night to talk about, you guessed it, the green and gold. Another night that you have to sit back, relax, maybe eat some popcorn, and look at this face for the next 30 minutes. Hey everyone, Cameron is there once again with you. This camera is a bit tilted up. Let me go down. There we go. Okay, awesome. Now it looks a little more normal. Riding solo once again, back-to-back days. This Packers team with their penultimate practice before, and not just penultimate because it's a short week with the Monday to Sunday, their first real practice of the week after a walkthrough yesterday before they face the Giants on Sunday at MetLife in New Jersey. So it's not the Big Apple, but it kind of is the Big Apple adjacent to. You can see the skyline, across the way from MetLife. So, hey, I count it, or at least you should count it a little bit. Any native New Yorker will get mad at me because they will not count it at all. They despise anything more than how their Jets and Giants play football. It's New Jersey where the Jets and Giants play. And oftentimes I would think New Yorkers would blame the performance of the Jets and the Giants over the last decade and a half to the fact that they play in New Jersey. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the green and gold. First practice of the week, one of two. They'll practice today and then tomorrow. Walk through yesterday, and then obviously travel Saturday because they had the game Monday, the day off Tuesday, probably had meetings in between as well. But the green and gold back at practice, and it was a great sight to see defensive end Lucas Van Ness out there for the green and gold. Remember, this is a guy that suffered a foot injury. This was back in that Week 6 win against the Bengals. Sacked Joe Flacco in the third quarter, then had to leave. Matt LaFleur, when we first asked about it about a month ago, he didn't seem too concerned with the injury, and then it kept prolonging. They did not put Van Ness on IR, but he still missed a month anyway. Now, if they did put him on injured reserve, he would have had to miss 4 games, which would have meant so I always get the weeks mixed up because it's kind of confusing how, you do it based off of who they're playing and not what week it is in the NFL. If they put him on injured reserve, he would have missed weeks 7 through 10, which is what he missed anyway. So obviously based off that, this Packers team didn't think the foot injury was as severe as it was. Now, he might not play against the Giants, which would mean he'd miss 5 games, but they kept him on the roster instead of moving him to IR and opening up another roster spot. But either way, I think that's in the past. And Van Ness, who really showed his chops, even with Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary playing so well those first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season. 11 total tackles, a sack and a half for a guy that you kind of thought his play time would be depleted with those two being your starting defensive ends. But they even have a package for the 3 of them, Van Ness, Parsons, and Gary, called Cheetah. Like, they love the trio of opportunities that you can get with those 3. So good to see him back out there. We tried to talk to him in the locker room. He didn't want to talk. Again, that is his own opinion and that is his own choice. But just wanted to ask him about what it was like to be back. But it seems like he's pretty happy out there, as the green and gold will definitely be happy to get their former first-round pick back in the fold. As for the rest of the injury report, let's pull this up on the old phone. Edgerrin Cooper, limited participant in the walkthrough. So technically what happens is if it was posted what the injury report was on Wednesday, that is just an approximation or an estimation based off of the walkthrough they had. So if they would have practiced, Edgerrin Cooper would have been limited. That's beside the point. He did practice today. He was a full participant. Romeo Doubs, who, remember, left for that chest injury on Monday, he was full participant, which is great. Kingsley Enagbare looked good out there, but knee injury, limited participant today. Matthew Golden, shoulder limited. You'll hear from Golden in a little bit. We got to talk to the first-round pick in the locker room. Nate Hobbs did not participate. He's been walking into practice, at least the inside portion, late, as all the other guys go outside. And by late, I mean he's probably doing rehab and treatment while the guys are stretching inside. So it's not late for him, but we just see him every single time walking in with the hoodie and sweatpants into the indoor facility, the Don Hudson Center, as we're waiting to film or shoot the outdoor portion of practice that we're allowed to shoot. But Hobbs, again, his timeline was a little iffy in terms of we didn't, I mean, I don't even think iffy is the right word. I think the right word is it was a bit unknown. We didn't get a concrete answer. I think reports came out that it was 1 to 2 weeks, but it could be longer because it was re-aggravating that meniscus that he got surgery on or procedure on during training camp that kept him out for a majority of the back half of camp. Micah Parsons, limited with a pectoral. He had that same injury designation last week. Wouldn't think anything of it. Zach Tom back, same thing, limited participant. Had that designation last week, still played the whole game. Allowed 4 pressures, wasn't the best. It wasn't as bad as Aaron Banks allowing 7, but Tom definitely has to get better, especially against a New York Giants front that Matt LaFleur has said ad nauseum this week is one of the best in the NFL. You got 4 first rounders right there in that group. Quay Walker, calf, full participant, even though they estimated him as a limited participant the other day going through the walkthrough, so that's great news. Christian Watson, we're also going to hear from Watson in a little bit. He was demoted to a limited participant, not just with that knee as he continues to rehab the torn ACL, but a hamstring injury. And again, we'll get to him in a second. Dontavian Wicks, who was a limited participant last week with that calf that kept him out for 3 weeks. He was back in the fold in that game against the Eagles, but still limited. Again, just precaution, he will play. No worries about that. Savion Williams, who had gone off the injury report after dealing with a little bit of a foot ailment that we weren't fully aware of, probably picked it up during the week or toward the back end of one of the games. Limited today as well with that foot. But let's get back to Christian Watson because he had been on the injury report with the knee. And we all had an idea that would be the case just as Micah Parsons dealt with that injury that he had from getting traded from Dallas to Green Bay, where it kept him out all of OTAs and training camp. Was the back? At this point, you don't even remember because it didn't ail him at all during those first 4 weeks. But then you add hamstring to the conversation. I think that got everyone a little pent up thinking, whoa, wait a second. Is Watson okay? Like, you don't want then injuries to start to compound as you're still keeping him on a quote unquote snap count, or at least I think everyone feels like that 10 months post torn ACL. We got to ask Christian Watson in the locker room, hey, why were you on the injury report? And maybe what happened? Just tell us a little bit more.
I mean, they just got to do what they got to do. I mean, I definitely, if it were up to me, I mean, I'm not injured. So, I mean, they just got to do what they got to do. But, I mean, yeah, I'm good. I have no worries in terms of, where I'm going to be at for Sunday. So, just precautions, I guess, for them.
Did you just feel something, or did you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sore. I would definitely just say I'm, still in the kind of ramp up phase, coming back from, the ACL and whatnot. So, I'm just feeling sore. Got a decent amount of snaps in the game and everything. So,
Does it feel, you've had a decent amount of snaps in games before, does it feel like any other soreness that comes from having a decent amount of snaps no different?
I mean, yeah. I mean, enough to, want to be a little bit, smarter about, the rep count and stuff in practice. But, I mean, yeah, no, I feel, fine, confident about it, so I'm good.
So you expect to play?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It flare up during the game. I mean, is the game where it's on?
No. I mean, I felt good all game. I mean, that's why I said, I wouldn't really classify it as an injury because I didn't really, get it injured or anything. But, it wasn't during the game. Kind of just, obviously, a couple days after, just feeling sore.
Christian, a game like Monday, the biggest play, your 22-yarder gets called back. You're close on a lot of other big plays down the field or in the intermediate area. What's it feel like coming out of a game like that when you look at the scoreboard?
I mean, we just got to find a way to not leave those plays out there. I mean, that's the number one thing. I mean, I think you can point out, just a couple plays, offensively where, if we would have had those, we probably would have been able to put some points on the board and made it a different ball game. So, I mean, we just got to continue to find ways to execute better.
What do you think it is, though, Christian? What's, I guess, holding you guys back from being able to play that sort of complete game at all?
I mean, just self-inflicted wounds. I mean, obviously, taking back, positive plays, setting ourselves back, with pre-snap stuff. And I mean, just not being locked in on the details. I mean, we just got to be a little bit more, complete as an offense in the details and everything. And I think that it's not something. I mean, we definitely it's something that we've been harping on. We just got to continue to find ways to not let those things slip through the cracks.
Do you feel like the prep each week has been good? And then, like, if so, why do you think come game day it just doesn't all accumulate together?
I mean, it's just I think the prep has been good. I mean, I just think it's something that we've got to find a better way to approach it during the week, maybe to emphasize it even more, I guess. But I mean, that's kind of just the name of the game in terms of finding a way to have it translate to the game.
Christian, you've been a guy in past years. There's stretches of few targets. You've just kept your head down and not complained. What have you seen from Golden? I'm sure he expected a bunch of targets coming in here as a first rounder. How has he been on the day-to-day when maybe he's not getting the ball as much as he would like?
I mean, he's good. I mean, he's definitely been even keeled from what I've seen. I mean, you could ask any wide receiver in here, and they're all gonna tell you that they would be happy getting the ball more. So I wouldn't say that he doesn't want to get the ball more, because I know he does. But I mean, he's still the same confident guy that we saw walking in here. So I just think whenever the opportunity does come for him, and he gets a little bit more opportunity to show what he can do, I think he's going to be ready for that moment.
Christian, just for you individually, just what has this ramp up been like now that you're actually in the games? Once again, obviously we talked so much in the offseason just getting back out there, but now that you're actually kind of getting used to that flow, once again, week in and week out.
It's been good. I mean, I've told the trainer, I've told the training staff, I like being, just football sore and, not, ACL and knee sore. So it's been fun for me to, get back to just regular football, and I've been enjoying it, and, it's just good to be back out there.
Did you have a moment where you felt like, okay, after all this wind up, all this rehab, as a player, I'm back? Like, I'm a player again. Did you have that kind of moment?
I mean, I just say probably during the Steelers game, just getting a couple plays, just getting a couple reps out there, and kind of just embracing the fact that I'm back out here doing what I love again.
Were you told to kind of expect maybe some soreness once you got back to playing games as part of this journey all the way back? Is that kind of come with the territory?
I mean, it definitely is. I mean, obviously, I've been, limited to a capacity for 10 months, so it's definitely, not going to feel like I've been training year round like I had been in the past. So, I mean, it's definitely expected to have things come up. Just feel a little bit more sore here, a little bit more sore there. Obviously, just got to be mindful of that. And I think they usually say you don't feel like 100% so you get to like that second year after your surgery. So I mean, I'm not a stranger to having to find ways to adjust and manage my body. So I'm just finding ways to continue to stay as healthy as I can. I mean,
and that is great news for Christian Watson to not just stay as healthy as he can, but the fact that he is healthy, and injury designation is just that, is a designation. It's not any more of a concern. And remember, the Packers are a team, most teams do this around the NFL because they don't want a situation where they're getting fined, as the Baltimore Ravens did when they listed Lamar Jackson as a full participant. 2 days before then, he was listed as out, and then I think they got fined $100K. Most teams will be very cautious with players in terms of listing them on the injury report. If they feel anything, they will put it down, because if it grows as a concern from one day to the next, it's not like you can make a soft edit, right? When it's out there, the injury report is out there. So if Christian Watson says, hey, hamstring's a little sore, you might as well just throw it on there. You're going to be smart and take a few reps off of his practice regimen, then you might as well throw the hamstring injury on there. But I respect the transparency out of Christian Watson. He will play, which is great news, because this wide receiver room is very depleted. Now, also great news, Jayden Reed was back out there. It was during a portion in which the media could not shoot, and he's an injured player, so we can't take video of him anyway. Marshawn Lloyd as well, who Matt LaFleur said was sent out west to kind of get the injuries under control, or whatever he had currently been dealing with. And so that's good news as well. The two of them, it feels like the two of Marshawn Lloyd and Jayden Reed, more so Jayden Reed, because that would be a huge, guy to have for the Packers to return to that wide receiving core with them being so depleted. But to have the two of them, or at least it seemed like their process of getting back is ramping up, that is great news. Also great that Christian Watson will play on Sunday against the Giants. When we come back on WFRV Plus Sports Night, we're going to hear from Matthew Golden, a player who I think the expectations, and I know, were very sky high. And has he met them? I don't know. We're only halfway through the season. He did miss that game against the Eagles with a shoulder injury. So we'll ask him just why he missed the game, how close he was to playing, because it felt like he was getting there, but then obviously he was listed as out and did not play. So we'll talk with MG next on WFRV Plus Sports Night. And we're back on the show. WFRV Plus Sports Night. The Packers, 3 days away from taking on the New York Giants, a team that beat them 2 years ago when, if you remember, Green Bay had won 3 straight to kind of climb out of the 3-6 hole. They were even 500, 6-6, had just beaten the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Lions. Like, it felt like, oh, here we go. And then a very shocking loss to Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants, Syracuse's own Tommy DeVito, I might add, to drop them to 6-7. Obviously, we know how that season then ended up with them falling in the divisional round of the San Francisco Giants. But yeah, I mean, this is, as Xavier McKinney called it, a must-win for the Packers, or it kind of feels that way. And for them to have a chance to win, health will play a huge part. It felt like that loss to the Eagles, a lot of what transpired wouldn't have if this team was more healthy. Whether that be the offensive line, Elton Jenkins doesn't get hurt, he's out for the season, or Aaron Banks isn't dealing with 7 injuries at the same time, or Zach Tom isn't continually dealing with the back injury, or even the wide receiving core, you don't have Jaden Reed, or tight end, you don't have Tucker Kraft. One guy that did not play out of the 3 wide receivers that were listed as questionable, Dontavian Wicks, Savion Williams, and Matthew Golden, the back end of that, Golden was listed as out. The other 2 did play. And without Golden, you lost your explosive play threat that's not named Christian Watson, which didn't allow any decoy routes, didn't allow anything to open things up for Watson, and that was very apparent. So this is Matthew Golden. Talked to him in the locker room just about what his status might be come Sunday and what happened on Monday, even though he did practice a majority of last week, that kept him out of that game against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Just didn't feel comfortable about where I was at physically. Talked to the coaches, training staff, and we all came down to a decision, and that's what was best for me.
How do you feel now?
I feel pretty good. I'm excited about being back on the field and being able to go out there and try to help the team as much as I can.
How much were you pushing to play?
I was pushing to play. I never want to be off the field, obviously. But it's kind of just irritation and not being comfortable on the field. With the injury that I had. So definitely hard for me being off the field. But I feel like it helped me. Look at some things differently. Probably slow the game down some more for me, and that's it really.
When you talk about pushing to play, how does that look? I mean, is it you trying to persuade the training staff like, no, it's fine? Or are you talking to LaFleur like that? What is pushing to play look like?
Pushing to play. I mean, just pushing through pain. Obviously, just trying your best to go out there and play, but like I said, it just go back to not being comfortable. If you do go out there and you're not comfortable, you might mess up on something. You never want that. So, it was all about being able to put my best foot forward and just go from there.
I don't know if you took time to reevaluate or just kind of reflect on your first half of your NFL season. What have you learned? What have been your takeaways on just how you've kind of integrated with this team so far?
Yeah. Really just focusing on what I could do to help the offense. Just overall, just being a good teammate. I feel like we got a long half of the season left, so I feel like, for us, all we got to do is just come together, get back to the drawing board, and, just stick together through hard times. It's bound to happen, so I feel like this next half of the season, we all going to stick together, and we're going to do what we need to do.
Matthew, last year, the second half of your season at Texas, you became more and more and more integral and focal point of the offense. Do you expect the same here? Can that happen here for you?
I just expect to do what I need to do, and like I said, man, just be where my feet are. And, whenever my number's caught, I know I'm going to be ready. And like I said, whenever the ball's in the air, do my best to make a play and run game. I'm gonna block as hard as I can and just try to contribute to the team whenever I'm not having the ball in my hands.
Matthew, you said the first half of your first NFL season has kind of met your expectations.
I mean, obviously you wanna do a lot, but I mean, it's God's plan. Obviously, everything happened for a reason. I'm true belief in that, and I mean, it's not even about me; it's about the team. So for that reason, I mean, we just need to handle business and go out and take it one game at a time.
And that's why you draft a guy like Matthew Golden, because even if he isn't having the individual stats that a lot of people, many probably expected him to have as the first round wide receiver pick by the Packers in over 20 years, he's a guy that's team first. Now, that being said, I think that every Green Bay fan wants to see a little more out of Golden and a little more out of Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, putting more of an emphasis on getting the ball to Matthew Golden, because I think that's definitely been lacking this season. Okay, we're going to take our last break here on WFRV Plus Sports Night. When we come back, we'll hear from the bell cow of this team, Josh Jacobs, next on the show. And we're back, WFRV Plus Sports Night. Time to wrap up the show in the only way we know, or at least, hey, when we talk to Josh Jacobs, he's always the guy you want to listen to. A player who only had 3.5 yards per carry in that game against the Eagles, had over 20 carries for one of the first times this season, but it didn't seem like he could get anything going, largely due to the offensive line. And we talked to Jacobs, who expressed his frustrations about the result on Monday, even though he said, hey, I gave it everything I got. And I think that's what's the most frustrating, is I do all that and then we still lose. And we talked to him more just about the overall feeling around this team as well. This is Josh Jacobs, number 8.
I think it's one of those things where obviously you can't be perfect in this game, but it definitely should look a certain type of way. And that's the thing that I'll be trying to preach to the guys. I'm like, man, we're not going to be perfect, but at least have the effort and at least have the strain, the intentionality that it looks a certain type of way. I think that's bigger than the mistake, honestly.
Josh, what was it on Monday night that was keeping you awake? Just the loss, or was there more to it?
I mean, I did have 22 people at that game, the most I've ever had at any game in my career. But so they was definitely loud and obnoxious. But definitely the game, man. I mean, I came in and I just went to my room and sat there for like 30 minutes. And my pops came and knocked on the door, and my uncles, they were always there, and they was like, he said, yeah, I know you just need a minute. I'm like, yeah, man, like I'll be out there a little bit, but it's just one of those things, man, where you kind of like, you replaying everything, you questioning everything, you wondering how do you fix things, you wondering if you could have pressed the ball here or ran harder here or any of those things, what would the outcome have been, and it got to a point where he was like, man, at the end of the day, you could really only do all you could do and then try to motivate and push guys to do the same. So that's my mindset coming into this week.
Sean said after the game, you guys have to get back to the point where you know the team's really going to run the ball, you're going to have success.
Yeah.
How do you get back to that point?
It's a mentality. That's what I'm saying. Like that's a strict mentality. It's like 4-minute offense. When you up, you know the run is coming. Stop it. I mean, that's just what it is. But everybody has to be locked in on not only the details, but the mentality to want to go out there and be gritty and strain to the bitter end. And that's something that we got to, collectively as a group figure out. We lost, 3 games and a total of, 9 points. It's not the end of the world, obviously. Like, we don't feel like it's the end of the world. We don't feel like we, panicking or anything like that. But it's also something that we feel like as an offense we have to address our mistakes to help this team. Stop trying to, rely on the defense to just bail us out and really get back to playing our brand of ball, and that's something that, win definitely can help build confidence, build trust in each other and things like that. But I think really it comes down to really the day-to-day stuff, the practices, the, film study, the going out there and just having the right type of mentality and mindset, finishing everything we do, and doing it as a group and as a unit and doing everything together. I think that's important.
When it comes to mentality and
yards after contact. You have 500 yards after contact. How much of that is just your mentality?
That's me just trying to do. Honestly, that's me just trying to do my job. But not only that, man. Like I always tell the O line, and I always tell even the receivers, like one thing that I'm a firm believer in is if you mess up, I'm gonna try my best to make you right. And I feel like that's just a testament to me trying to make guys right in situations. And also me not giving up. I told y'all at the beginning of this year, my biggest thing from last year coming into this year was wanting to not give up on plays when I felt like, certain times I might have tripped here out the hole or gave up on a play where I really should have finished a certain type of way. So for me, it's just about trying to finish to the bitter end.
Can we just talk to you about, all right, what plays do you feel like you're really running? What schemes, that staff scheme, run scheme, what certain plays are really working for you and what aren't working? They talk to you about that kind of stuff?
I can't really get into the schemes or what schemes we gonna run or which ones I like. I always say all the time, I like me. So like, anytime I'm getting the ball, I'll be like, all right. But really, man, I'm all for, like I say, whatever works, I'm all for. I mean, I don't really have like a favorite or not favorite. If it's what's working that week or that game or even them few plays, I'm all for it.
I do want to go back.
And I think that we all agree that when Josh Jacobs gets the ball and he finds an opening, we're all for Josh. Doesn't matter what the scheme is, doesn't matter what the protection, it doesn't even matter. If Josh gets the ball and he's happy about getting the ball, and I think what's worrisome is right now him getting the ball, it doesn't seem like he's as happy as he was earlier on in the season. And I think that's because of the guys up front, which, I mean, it just has to clean itself up. And the guys on that O-line know that's not something that is beyond their heads or above their head. They understand that there's plenty to clean up. And when Josh Jacobs is happy and he's leading this team, we saw what happened last year, it makes the Green Bay Packers just overall better. Don't forget, Toyota-thon is starting soon, which means that Jordan Love will also be in his best groove very soon, or I think we all at least hope so. That'll do it for this edition of WFRV Plus Sports Night. We will catch you next Monday to recap what happens in Green Bay, New York, big-time matchup, because if the Packers lose 3 in a row, they're 5-4 in a row, and all of a sudden the conversations get to be a little iffy and a little tense over there at 1265. Thanks for joining us on the show. We will see you next time.